You were supposed to observe, not interfere! It was a split-second decision!
Stop it! Look at what's happening!
The machine wasn't supposed to work. After 12 years of failed experiments, countless sleepless nights, and billions of dollars spent in secret, the world's brightest scientists were ready to shut the project down forever. But on one stormy night, everything changed. The metal rings surrounding the laboratory suddenly came alive, glowing with a deep blue light. Electricity danced through the air as alarms echoed throughout the underground facility. The impossible had finally become possible. A doorway through time had opened. 3 volunteers were chosen for humanity's first journey into the past. Dr. Ethan Cross, a brilliant physicist and leader of the mission; Maya Reed, a historian whose knowledge of ancient civilizations was unmatched; and Leo Carter, a former military officer trained to protect the team at all costs. Their mission sounded simple: travel exactly 100 years into the past. Observe, record history, touch nothing, speak to no one, and return after exactly 1 hour. History must never be changed. Before leaving, the project's director looked each of them in the eyes. If even the smallest event changes, our future may disappear. The words echoed in Ethan's mind as they stepped into the glowing portal. A flash of blinding light swallowed them whole. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, they crashed onto soft grass beneath a bright blue sky. The air smelled cleaner. Birds filled the forest with songs none of them had ever heard before. The city that once stood nearby was gone. Instead, endless fields stretched to the horizon. It worked, Maya whispered. We're really here. Their wrist devices confirmed it. The year was 1926. The team quietly began documenting everything. Old houses, horse-drawn wagons, children laughing in the streets. It felt like stepping into a history book. Everything was perfect, until they heard crying. Not far away, hidden among the trees, sat a little boy no older than 8 years old. He had fallen into a shallow ditch. His bicycle lay broken beside him. Leo looked away. We can't interfere. But Maya hesitated. He's hurt. The mission comes first, Ethan reminded her. They started walking away. Then the boy screamed. A horse pulling a heavy cart had become frightened. It raced directly toward the child. Without thinking, Leo sprinted forward. He grabbed the boy just seconds before the cart crashed through the ditch. The horse disappeared down the road. The boy stared at the strangers with wide eyes. You saved me. Ethan's heart sank. History had just been touched. The team quickly disappeared into the forest before anyone else saw them. Back at their hidden observation point, tension filled the air. You broke protocol, Ethan said. I saved a child, Leo replied. One child. Maya remained silent. She couldn't stop thinking about the frightened look on the boy's face. An hour later, the portal reopened. The team returned to the present. Everyone celebrated. The mission had been declared a complete success. No one noticed anything unusual at first, but as Ethan walked outside the laboratory, he froze. The skyline was different. Buildings that had stood for decades had vanished. Roads led to places he'd never seen. The national flag flying above the city wasn't the same one he remembered. People wore unfamiliar uniforms. Confused, Ethan pulled out his phone. There were thousands of missed messages. None of the names looked familiar. Even worse, his own family photos had disappeared. His wife, his daughter. They no longer existed. The mission hadn't just observed history, it had rewritten it. And somehow, saving one little boy had changed the entire world. Ethan's hands began to shake. This isn't our world. The laboratory around them erupted into panic. Scientists rushed from computer to computer, desperately trying to understand what had happened. One by one, they realized the horrifying truth. Every historical record in their database had changed. Entire wars had different outcomes. Countries had different borders. Technologies that once existed had never been invented. Others had appeared decades earlier than they should have. Maya stared at a photograph hanging on the wall. It showed the same laboratory, but none of them were in it. Instead, complete strangers smiled at the camera as if they had built the project. It's like we were erased, she whispered. Leo couldn't believe it. All because I saved one child? Ethan checked the mission recordings. The footage still existed because it had been stored inside the time machine's isolated memory system. He replayed the moment. The frightened boy, the broken bicycle, the runaway horse. Then Maya suddenly gasped. "Wait, zoom in on his face." The image sharpened. The boy wore a small silver pendant engraved with the initials AV. She rushed to the archives. After searching for several minutes, her face turned pale. "I know who he is." The room fell silent. "His name was Arthur Vance. In our original timeline, Arthur died in a horse accident at the age of 8. Leo frowned. "So?" Maya swallowed hard. "He never grew up. But in this timeline, he survived. And Arthur Vance became one of the greatest inventors in history." The room went quiet. She continued. "He created technologies decades ahead of their time. His discoveries prevented some wars, but also gave powerful governments weapons unlike anything the world had ever seen. Everything changed because one child lived." Leo lowered his head. "I only wanted to save him." "No one could have predicted this," Ethan replied. "But now we have another problem. The portal. It was still open. There was only enough energy for one final trip, one chance. If they failed, history would remain broken forever." Without hesitation, the three stepped back into the machine. The portal exploded with blue light once more. Moments later, they arrived in 1926 again. Everything unfolded exactly as before. The frightened horse, the broken bicycle, the little boy trapped in the ditch. This time Leo clenched his fists. Every instinct told him to run, to save the child again. But Ethan stopped him. "If we interfere, billions of lives may never exist." The horse thundered closer. Arthur looked terrified. Leo closed his eyes. He couldn't watch. Then, a loud gunshot echoed through the forest. The horse suddenly changed direction, frightened by the sound. It raced away without hitting the boy. Everyone stared in disbelief. A local farmer emerged from the trees holding an old hunting rifle. "What are you folks doing standing there?" he shouted. He hurried over and helped Arthur out of the ditch. The boy was safe. No one from the future had touched him. History had corrected itself. Maya smiled through tears. "It wasn't us. It was always supposed to happen this way." The team quietly walked back toward the portal. As the blue light surrounded them, Arthur looked toward the forest. For a brief second, he thought he saw three strangers smiling back at him. Then they vanished. The laboratory shook as they returned. Lights flickered. Computers restarted. The strange skyline outside slowly disappeared. The familiar city returned. Ethan rushed to his phone. This time, the lock screen showed a photo of his wife and daughter. His eyes filled with tears. "They're back." The laboratory celebrated. History had been restored, or so they believed. Weeks later, while reviewing the final mission footage, Maya noticed something strange. In the last frame, long after they had disappeared into the portal, a figure stepped out from behind a tree. He wasn't from 1926. He wore a sleek black suit, unlike anything from that era. On his wrist was a device identical to theirs. The mysterious man looked directly at the camera, smiled, and said only 6 words. "You're not the first time, travelers." The screen went black.